Hi everyone, Melanie Muenchinger here, illustrator for Gina K Designs. Today I have a new project for you that was inspired by a card that I made last week. This was my rose gold watercolor shimmer technique, and I was really excited to see what a beautiful cranberry color this created when I blended the coral reef and the plum punch together. These are Gina K's new 2018 add-on colors. Then I realized that we still have a Cranberry Tart cardstock in our collection, but we don't have the ink anymore. You might have gotten it before it was discontinued by the manufacturer. It's a beautiful color. It's really fun to mix it with spring colors as well. But I wanted to see what would happen if I went ahead and stamped these together. So today I'm going to be showing you some different ways that you can create new color combinations, or actually new colors in your ink pad collection by stamping them one on top of the other with the MISTI. So the set that I'm going to be using today to create this card, this is my Wildflowers set. The coordinating set is Wild at Heart. So it has a bold frame stamp in it with lots of greetings that you can stamp over it. This bold stamp is great for all kinds of different techniques because it's bold. And then this has all of these fillers that you can put in, plus butterflies, leaves, and lots of quotes. So I'm going to be using this little 2018 add-on collection again with the spots. I'm going to be using, in addition to these two, the Key Lime and the Lucky Clover. The cardstock that I'm using, again, this is the Gina K Cranberry Tart, and this is some of the Gina K Pure Luxury Layering Weight White. Got some adhesive. I've got the mini MISTI here, and you might want to use some additional acrylic blocks. That's up to you. Okay, so let's get started on stamping this up. So I'm going to use 3 of these flowers, and I'm going to stamp them all at the same time, and I want to show you the coral reef and the plum punch by themselves, and then what it looks like when you layer one over the other. Now, I tried this experiment before to see, I was thinking about colored pencils, and if you've ever tried to lay 2 different colored pencils on top, let's say blue on top of yellow or yellow on top of blue, it's interesting that you get a different look each time. It's a little bit different the order that you do. I actually did a little bit of experimenting, and I didn't find really any difference when I put the plum down first or the coral reef down first. So that's important to note. It does look a lot darker when you first stamp it, and then the color deepens. All right, so I'm just laying these out on here. And I have them cleaned. I used my little tidy towel to clean them, but I'm not putting the cardstock down yet because I want to make sure that I'm not getting any ink on my paper from before when I made that card. All right, so I'm just going to put this in, and the stamps are going to might go off a little bit. Nope, that looks good. That's how I want it. All right, so I'm going to ink up one with the plum, and I'm going to ink up the other 2 with the coral reef. And I'll stamp all of these at one time. Got a little bit of ink right there. All right, so I'm going to stamp these and pull this away. They're a little sticky. Okay, now I'm going to take off the smaller one that I stamped in plum because I want that one to stay plum. And this lower flower, that's just going to be in the coral reef. And I'm going to re-ink this flower now with the plum punch. And this is just going to layer right over that coral stamped one, and it's going to create that really beautiful cranberry tart color. It's going to look very dark at first, but then it's going to mellow as it dries, and we're going to do the rest of our stamping. Up. Okay, so you can already see that's a different color, but it's going to lighten. It looks very dark right now. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to do some of the stems. So for this I'm going to use a separate block just because I like to go in and just pop these in where I want instead of moving the paper around. Okay, so we're going to do the Lucky Clover. And I found that you're also going to get a different shade of yellow-green when you layer these. Now what I'm going to do here, I want to, hang on one second, I'm going to mask this, just cover this up without having to use the full cut mask. And then I'm going to do the same here. Okay. All right, now let's do some of the leaves. So these leaves, you can do these in the key lime or the Lucky Clover. And again, if you want to layer them, you might want to do your MISTI just so that you can make them line up perfectly. But I'm just going to pop in a few of the paler ones, and then we're going to do some of the darker ones here. And then I've got some little smaller ones, and I have mirror images also. Over here. And then I'm going to layer this. I'm going to put just a little bit of the key lime on top of the Lucky Clover. And it's going to lighten up, and you're going to see that it's going to become a little bit paler. In a minute. Okay. Now we're going to add some centers here. So I'm going to use just the coral reef on 2 of those. So I'm going to use this larger one. So I'm going to stamp this into here. And then I'm going to use the plum just for some contrast down here. Okay, and then I'm going to go in with this smaller center and go back to the coral reef. Okay. Now we're going to do the greeting, and so I'm going to do kind of an ombre effect on this. I'm going to ink up the whole thing. I did the opposite before. I think I did the plum punch and then I put the coral reef over it. But I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of tap on this plum to create kind of a nice gradient on there. Actually, I'm going to do a little bit of the purple at the top because I did it over a little bit farther on this one. Okay. And then you would just layer this onto your Cranberry Tart base. You can see how that's fading. So it's kind of amazing that you can get from this really bright reddish orange and then this plum color, this beautiful cranberry, and it's a wonderful blend for the cranberry ink. And I want to go ahead and show you, because this is a shorter video, I want to show you how these flowers look layered onto my Wild at Heart frame, because I haven't done a video with that one in a while. So let me just clean this off. And we're going to use the new 2018 colors again. So we're going to take this large frame here and put this in our MISTI. And I'm going to grab that white piece of cardstock I have. Where is it? There we go. Okay, so we're just going to put that right there in the corner. And this is just going to line up right on top. So this piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. So just press that onto the door. And I'm going to be using the Sea Glass and the Lucky Clover, and those are both ink colors that are in here, but I'm going to use the full-size pads just because I'm doing a larger area. So I'm going to start by doing the Sea Glass along the top. kind of to represent the sky. And then some of the lucky clover on the bottom for the grass. And close the window. Just press all over. Okay. All right, so we've got this really bright frame. Then I'm going to take the plum and I'm going to do my greeting. So I'm going to do this one, Live, Laugh, Love. And I want this down in the corner. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp that top flower with the plum. So you see it's just going to layer right over it. And we're going to put this back in the corner. Ink these up in the plum. Make sure that's there in the corner. And stamp. Away. And now I'm going to do the remaining flowers. This time I want to do the, let's do the tangerine twist. So I'm going to do that on this flower. And then I'm going to use the Tranquil Teal on that bottom flower. Okay. So close the window. All right. So I've got the tangerine twist. And a Tranquil Teal. The door. Okay. Got off just a little bit there. I think I must have shifted my paper. That's okay. I like that though, with the white showing through. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to do those centers with the tangerine up here. And down here. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to do the plum on this one. Just pop that in right like that. And that's it. And I'll show you this layered on a couple different bases. If you want to add some of those leaves, you can. I'm going to leave it just like this though, and then I'll show you my other card, my finished card. So I have one that I layered onto the Tranquil Teal. So I've got a couple other card bases over here you can see. I've got some of the sea glass. So that's nice, picking up that background. And then the tangerine twist. I keep wanting to say Tranquil Tangerine. That's not right, that's the Tranquil Teal. So I think I'm going to layer this onto, I think I'm going to make it pop a little more with the tangerine because I haven't used that base yet. And just a little bit of adhesive. So you see how quickly that card went together. So there's so many different options. You don't have to fill them in, but it's really nice to have those coordinating blooms. Okay, so there's the card with the Wild at Heart background. And then here are the ones that I made, creating that new cranberry color with the coral reef and the plum punch. So I'm going to be coming back with another video to show you some different colors that you can make. Oh, I forgot to show you really quickly the butterflies that I stamped out. So I mentioned this is the key lime by itself. This is the lucky clover by itself. And this is when you use the MISTI to stamp one on top of the other. So you can see that just putting on this lighter color, that lightened the ink and it gave it just a nice warm tone. So kind of a nice in-between green there. I hope this gives you ideas for how you can mix and match your inks by doing the double stamping with the MISTI. Please visit my blog, Hands, Head, and Heart, for more ideas and inspiration using all of our stamp sets from Gina K Designs and at Stamp TV. Thank you for watching today. God bless.